Hey everybody, Derek here to bring another video for Z Nation Season 3. And what I want to do with this video is talk about predictions and thoughts for the next upcoming episode of Z Nation, which is called Heart of Darkness. If you are not caught up with Z Nation and you do not want to be spoiled in any way, then I suggest you exit the video now and come back later, because otherwise you will be spoiled. Okay. So looking at the preview, there are a lot of things that I am really looking forward to with this episode. I think it's going to be a big turning point. I think it's definitely going to be an episode that changes a lot. It might end things that are going on right now. I think it's very, very possible we might see a character death in this episode. I think it's really going to be action-packed, and there's going to be a lot going on. And I do have to wonder if this particular episode is going to draw from the actual novel Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad, and maybe some elements of the movie Apocalypse Now, which the movie is based off of the book. So we might see some parallels there with this episode. And I think we're setting up a lot of things that could potentially happen in this episode that's going to change the rest of the season. And I think it's going to be one of the best that Season 3 has to offer. When we were last with Warren's group and Murphy's group, we saw that they had turned the power back on in the town. The man had escaped. Warren and the group were about to, invade and try to figure out what was going on. 10K escaped because, of course, the group found out that he was bitten. And the preview does show that 10K goes back to Murphy, that or he was captured. We don't know the circumstances. And basically Murphy tells 10,000 that if 10,000 reveals Warren's plans, then he will give him his soul back. So maybe perhaps Murphy has found out a way to make a cure that would even cure you of having the blend effect. So if that's the case, 10,000 can regain his identity. It's very possible Murphy's lying. It's very possible he does have it, and he may have it, but he may decide not to give it to 10,000. I could absolutely see him not doing that, that basically he's lying to 10,000 in a sense in revenge for what 10K did to Cassandra. I think that a lot of Murphy's actions towards 10K in this season have partly been based off of Cassandra's death. So I think we're going to see Murphy just using 10,000, and either 10,000 is going to steal the vaccine himself. There really is no vaccine, and he's going to be, in a hard place. It may also be possible that he might die. I think it's very unlikely, but it does make me wonder if the Murphy and 10K, if that storyline can keep going on and what would happen if they were in the group. I think it could, but it does make me wonder if, in the end, one of those characters might have to die in order for the other one to go on. It's very possible, but I'm going to rule it out at this point. I don't think it's going to happen, but let me know what you guys think. Do you think that might be possible? Because I think it might be. We might end up seeing some character death in this episode very similar to some of the events of Apocalypse Now, things like that. There were a lot of things going on in that movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It is probably one of the best movies that has ever been created, and I absolutely would recommend it to anybody. But in the same token, we also have a sneak peek that shows Warren actually cutting through the fence to find Murphy, and she ends up having to hide in a porta potty, and zombies, of course, surround her. She's able to escape. Murphy comes out of his own porta potty, sees the zombies, and he opens the door, and he sees that the wall has been kicked out and Warren has escaped, and Murphy realizes that it is Warren that is back. So Murphy knows that he's going to have to prepare. He knows that something's going on. This might be the actual start of the episode, because many of the sneak peeks that we have seen so far have actually been the first few minutes of the episode. So I would not be surprised if that's how the episode begins. Then you're going to have maybe some scenes with Murphy and 10,000 figuring out what's going on there. Now, from Warren's group's perspectives, you're going to see that they realize they're outnumbered. I think that Warren's going to go back to the group. She's going to, say, hey, listen, I went in there. Murphy's got a ton of people. He's bitten several people. He's given several people the vaccines, and it's very clear that Murphy has an army. And if we want to get in, we're going to need some help. And they do decide to go find and recruit help. And it's revealed that they're going to go look for the Red Hand. I don't know what would make them want to do that. I think that maybe they at least believe that the Red Hand group is not as evil as they think, that maybe they really are just a vigilante group. If they are a vigilante group, then this might be something that they would want to do because they're hurting people. They're doing terrible things, potentially. Warren's group might spin it in a way that might fool them, or she may just be honest. The other thing I have to wonder is, will a Scorpion volunteer himself to basically be the one to go and suggest this? Because as we know, the Red Hand gang has had a leader named Scorpion. Well, it's not the real Scorpion. Who is it? Well, we actually are going to find out in this episode. But one of the things that we see is that Scorpion, I think he wants to know what's going on. He wants to know who's been using his old name. He wants to know exactly who's involved. So I think that a Scorpion might actually come up with the idea to say, hey, listen, let's find the Red Hand gang. Let's see if they're willing. They're being led by this Scorpion. I'm a Scorpion. I'm going to go and I'm going to see what's going on. Maybe I can get them to help. Maybe they really do respect Scorpion. Maybe it's the real Scorpion that they'll be driven to follow, and then we can take this Red Hand gang and us and attack Murphy's group. So I think that's part of what's going to happen. Then, of course, we see in the previews, we do see images of the Red Hand gang holding various weapons, and it's at that point that we then find out that Vasquez is back. And my assumption, which many of us have predicted, is that he is the one that is impersonating a Scorpion. So we finally have Vasquez back. It's been a while since we've seen him, since season 2's finale, but it is confirmed from the preview in this next upcoming episode, he is back. And I do have to wonder, what exactly is he planning? What is he doing? Because he is wearing clothing that is very similar to what a Scorpion used to dress in when he was a Scorpion and the leader of the Zeros. So I really do think he has taken on the persona of a Scorpion, but why has he done this? I think this episode will definitely reveal a lot of that, because my assumption, I thought of one of two things. Either he became a Scorpion in order to leave his past behind, kind of like how Hector, the real Scorpion, left the Scorpion identity behind, and this is the way that he's just been continuing to live. Or he has taken on the Scorpion persona because he wants to call out Hector and he wants to maybe battle him to the death. Maybe he has found it within himself to get his revenge because, of course, we know Hector / the real Scorpion killed Vasquez's wife and daughter. So I think that this might be his way of working up the courage to finally be able to kill his enemy. Will he go through with it? Will they be able to work something out? That's hard to say. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a little bit of a very narrow, if you will, alliance. I don't know the word, but basically it won't be very stable. That's it. It's not going to be a stable alliance. It might be that these groups are going to band together temporarily in order to mutually benefit each other, to take out Murphy's group, and potentially, if there is a battle and something does happen, then you might end up seeing things fall apart from there, that maybe the Red Hand will turn on Warren's group. Maybe you might have to see them battling their way out. Perhaps Vasquez will call out a Scorpion and they will battle. It's very possible that we might see one or both of them die in this episode. It would not surprise me if they would bring that storyline to a conclusion. I would hope not. I would hope that they would bring it out over the course of the next few episodes. And it's very possible that main characters of the group won't die, but it's very possible that we are going to see many members of Murphy's group that we've gotten to know over the last episode die. Could be that Will dies in this episode. Some of the other followers, I could see that happening. But ultimately, I really think that by the end of this episode, I think that what Murphy has been building will be destroyed. I don't think that there's going to be a community anymore, because the next 2 episode titles deal with, I think, Lucy as well as Doc. And I'm not sure if back-to-back episodes with just Doc, Addie, and Lucy are going to be entertaining. I could be very wrong about that, but I think that it would be beneficial to finally get the group to go to Springfield. It might be the way that they connect up with Murphy. It might be the way to give him motivation to, basically continue on. Or the other thing is that when his community is destroyed, Murphy might realize he only has one thing left that he really wants, his daughter. He leaves, and hence the group follows him. So it could turn out a number of ways, but I think that really you might see the Heart of Darkness storyline playing out, because the novel really takes the character of Kurtz and kind of makes him a little bit of maybe a hero, but maybe a villain. Maybe things that might have happened. The horror is, a phrase that is used in the Heart of Darkness book. The last words of Kurtz are the horror, the horror. And part of me wonders, when you read that line, you think about the horror of maybe things that have happened, terrible atrocities to humanity, the state of maybe what was happening in the novel, because I think it deals with African colonization, some of the terrible things that were happening. I think that deals with a lot of the elements in that book. And I think in a sense you might see a parallel with this story, that you're going to see that Murphy, maybe his acts against people are seen as atrocities. On the one hand, it's seen as a very good thing, the progress that maybe he has been able to take. And that's the thing about Murphy, kind of like Kurtz. Was he really a hero? Was he really a villain? That's the thing about Murphy. You do have to wonder, is Murphy, a hero or a villain? Many people, I think, would look at him in different ways depending on what he's done for them. And we as the audience also might look at him both ways, as a hero, maybe somebody who has actually done something that has helped people, who is making this cure for the sake of humanity. He's doing it for other people, but also as a villain because he does have very selfish tendencies. He wants to make himself more powerful. He wants to have control over people. And the blend effect has terrible effects on people. We've seen what has happened with 10,000, a lot of the things that they were dealing with him. It may be that this is not the best solution. So it's hard to say with Murphy, but I think we might see a little bit of parallels working their way over some of the ideologies about whether Murphy's ideas are ethical, good for humanity, good for the greater good or not. We might see that. But I think by the end of the episode, I think Murphy's community will be destroyed. And I think that the group and Murphy will be heading on to Springfield by the end of the episode. Will that mean that Vasquez goes with them? Will the Red Hand be destroyed in the process? That's very possible. It could be that Vasquez and a Scorpion might battle it out again. That's very possible. I am curious to see, but I think there's going to be a lot of things going on in this episode. It's going to be very intense, and I really think that it's going to be the best that Season 3 has offered so far, so I can't wait for it. So with that, I'm going to bring this video to a close. I want to thank all of you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, don't be afraid to leave them. Feel free to subscribe. I do have more videos coming. And if you have any suggestions for future videos that you would like to see, don't be afraid to suggest them. Have a very wonderful evening, and thank you all very much for watching.